When Officer Brian Kelly received a report of a suspicious black man watching children at Chicago's Lincoln Elementary School, he immediately rushed to the scene and began questioning Marcus Washington, waiting in the schoolyard. Kelly had no idea that the man before him was the Chicago District Attorney who had been leading police reform for the past 3 years, revising qualified immunity laws, and who currently had the authority to evaluate Officer Kelly's own performance. And Washington had deliberately decided to turn this encounter into a test. But before we dive into this incredible story of power dynamics and justice, please let us know in the comments which city you're watching from. And if you believe in justice, hit that like button and subscribe, because in the next video, we'll tell the story of brave leaders who changed the system. That Tuesday afternoon in Chicago, autumn winds were blowing and leaves were dancing in Lincoln Elementary School's yard. It was exactly 3:15 p.m., school dismissal time. Dozens of parents had gathered in front of the school building to pick up their children. Marcus Washington stood in the school's iron-gated yard like other parents. At 52, he was a medium-height, calm man. With his dark blue suit, white shirt, and neat tie, he resembled a typical businessman. In his hand was a leather briefcase, a graduation gift from Northwestern University Law School. Marcus was waiting for his 8-year-old daughter, Emma. Emma was the light of his life, his greatest supporter after divorcing his wife, Sarah. Every Tuesday and Thursday, when court schedule permitted, he came to pick up his daughter. The other parents were mostly white. Lincoln Elementary was in Chicago's upper-middle-class Lakeview neighborhood. Marcus and Emma had moved to this neighborhood for the quality education Emma received, but Marcus had noticed he was the only black parent here. In the first few months, he had tried to make small talk with other parents. Results were mixed. Some were polite but distant. Some avoided him completely. The most disturbing were a few parents who constantly voiced security concerns. School security should be increased, said Janet Mitchell, PTA president. There's talk about suspicious types wandering around here lately. When Marcus heard these comments, he wondered which suspicious types were being referenced. Crime rates in the neighborhood were low, but racist paranoia was high. Actually, Marcus Washington was one of Chicago's most powerful figures. As Cook County District Attorney, he was responsible for the justice system serving 2.8 million people. Over the past 3 years, he had become a nationally recognized leader in police reform. Marcus's success story was filled with challenges. He had grown up on Chicago's South Side, his father a factory worker, his mother a nurse. He had attended university on full scholarship, graduating summa cum laude from Northwestern Law. He had started his prosecutorial career in Chicago and reached the top in 15 years. But his real achievement was systemic reforms. Police reform packages, led by Marcus, had reduced police violence in Chicago by 40%. He had revised qualified immunity laws and redefined police accountability standards. Ironically, these reforms were designed precisely for officers like Brian Kelly. Officer Kelly was 34 years old with 8 years of police experience. He worked in Chicago PD's 18th District and was known for his proactive policing approach. This meant he was quite aggressive about suspicious person stops. Kelly's personnel file contained 12 different complaints, all related to racial profiling, but none had resulted in disciplinary action because the complaints had been filed before Marcus Washington's reforms. That Tuesday, Kelly was on routine patrol when he received a call from dispatch. Unit 1834, suspicious activity report at Lincoln Elementary. Caller reports suspicious black male wandering near school, alleged to be watching children. Kelly immediately responded. Unit 1, 834, 10-4. ETA 3 minutes. The caller was Susan Palmer, a woman known as the neighborhood's security volunteer. Palmer had been calling 911 every time she saw Marcus for the past 6 months. This man doesn't live around here, she constantly said. Why is he always hanging around the school? What Palmer didn't know was that Marcus lived exactly here, 3 blocks from the school. When Kelly reached Lincoln Elementary, he immediately spotted Marcus among the parents in the schoolyard. As the only black parent, he stood out. This fit exactly Kelly's mental profile of a suspicious person. Kelly got out of his patrol car and walked straight to Marcus. His uniform, the gun in his holster, and authoritative stance drew attention from other parents. "Excuse me, sir." Kelly approached Marcus. "Can I see some identification?" Marcus turned. There was a slight smile on his face, showing he wasn't surprised. "Good afternoon, officer. May I ask what this is regarding?" Kelly's attitude hardened. Most people's first reaction would be compliance, not questioning. "We received reports of suspicious activity in this area. I need to see your ID." Marcus looked around. None of the other parents were being subjected to ID checks. "Officer, I'm here to pick up my daughter from school, just like other parents. What makes my behavior suspicious?" Kelly didn't like this question. "Sir, don't make this difficult. Just show me your ID." Other parents were now openly watching. Some had taken out their phones and started recording. Marcus was aware of this. In fact, this was exactly what he wanted. "Officer, Marcus looked at Kelly's name tag. Kelly, right? I'll show you my identification, but I want to understand what reasonable suspicion you have for this stop. Kelly's face reddened. Was this black man trying to give him a law lesson? My reasonable suspicion is that you don't belong in this neighborhood, and you're hanging around a school. Marcus took out his wallet. I don't belong in this neighborhood. Based on what evidence? Based on the fact that residents called in suspicious activity. Marcus handed over his ID. Illinois driver's license. Marcus Washington. Address 1247 Roscoe Street, exactly 3 blocks away. Kelly examined the license. The address was indeed nearby, but this didn't convince him. What are you doing here? I told you, picking up my daughter. What's your daughter's name? Emma Washington, 2nd grade, Mrs. Peterson's class. Kelly took out his radio. Dispatch, can you check with Lincoln Elementary for a student named Emma Washington? The direction this questioning was taking both saddened Marcus and provided important data. This was a perfect example of why qualified immunity reforms were necessary. Dispatch responded, Unit 1, 834, confirmed student Emma Washington in 2nd grade. Kelly was somewhat uncomfortable, but didn't back down. Sir, several residents reported you've been hanging around this school for weeks. That's concerning behavior. Marcus smiled. Officer Kelly, I've been hanging around this school because I'm a father picking up my daughter for 8 months now, twice a week, same time, same place. Why don't other residents recognize you? This question triggered Marcus's civil rights attorney background. Officer Kelly, are you suggesting that I need neighborhood residents' permission to pick up my child from school? I'm suggesting that unusual behavior draws attention. And what exactly is unusual about a black father picking up his child? Kelly realized he was stepping into dangerous territory, but retreating would also be a sign of weakness. Sir, I need you to place your hands behind your back. Marcus's heart raced, but his voice remained calm. On what grounds? Disorderly conduct and failure to comply with police orders. Officer Kelly, I've answered all your questions and provided identification. I haven't been disorderly. Kelly took out handcuffs. Turn around now, or you'll be charged with resisting arrest as well. Marcus turned around. He was deliberately experiencing this moment. Situations he had theoretically debated in his 25-year legal career, he was now experiencing firsthand. As the handcuffs were being placed on his wrist, someone came running from the school building. Officer, stop, stop! Principal Sarah Martinez reached Marcus out of breath. Officer, this is a huge mistake. This is Mr. Washington, Emma's father. Kelly stopped. Ma'am, this doesn't concern you. Actually, it does concern me. Mr. Washington is not only a parent at our school, he's also the Cook County District Attorney. These words shocked Kelly. What? Martinez continued firmly. Officer, you just arrested Chicago's district attorney, the person who oversees police accountability in this county. Kelly's world spun. That's impossible. District attorneys don't pick up kids from school. This one does, Martinez spoke firmly. And Mr. Washington, I'm so sorry this happened. Other parents were now watching more closely, phones out, recording everything. Chicago DA was starting to trend on social media. Marcus spoke in a calm voice. Officer Kelly, perhaps we should discuss this at the station. I have some questions about police protocols. Kelly's hands were trembling while removing the handcuffs. Sir, this was a misunderstanding. No, Officer Kelly, this wasn't a misunderstanding. This was exactly what I expected to happen. Kelly was confused. Expected? Marcus turned to face Kelly eye to eye. Officer Kelly, for the past 6 months, I've been receiving reports about racial profiling in this district. Today, I decided to experience it personally. Martinez intervened. Mr. Washington, Emma's waiting inside. Should I bring her out? Yes, please. Emma should see how these situations resolve. 8-year-old Emma came running from the school entrance. Daddy, why were there police here? Marcus hugged Emma. Sweetheart, sometimes police officers make mistakes. The important thing is how we fix those mistakes. Kelly was still in shock. Sir, I was just doing my job. Officer Kelly, your job included racially profiling a parent, questioning his right to be at his daughter's school, and arresting him without cause. Is that the job Chicago PD trained you for? Other parents had now formed a circle. Marcus had found an unexpected audience. Parents. Marcus addressed the group. This is exactly why police reform matters. Not because we hate police, but because everyone, including district attorneys, should be treated with equal dignity. Janet Mitchell, the PTA president, stepped forward. Mr. Washington, I may have been one of the people who called. Marcus turned to her. Mrs. Mitchell, why did you call? Because you seemed out of place. Out of place where? At my daughter's school? In my own neighborhood. Mitchell couldn't answer. Marcus took Emma's hand. Officer Kelly, you and I need to have a conversation. But first, let me take my daughter home. Kelly was still in shock. Yes, sir. Should I report this? You should prepare for a very thorough review of today's events. The next day, Marcus Washington was reviewing Officer Kelly's personnel file in his office. 12 complaints, none acted upon. This pattern was exactly what his reforms targeted. Chicago Police Superintendent Robert Johnson sat uncomfortably in Marcus's office. Marcus, Kelly's actions were unacceptable. Immediate suspension. Bob, suspension isn't enough. This is a systematic problem. Kelly is just a symptom. Marcus spread files on the table. In the 18th District, 47 suspicious person stops in the past 2 years. 44 were racial minorities. Success rate? 0 arrests, 0 citations. We can retrain, not retrain Bob. Complete policy overhaul. And Kelly will be the test case for new protocols. A week later, a community meeting was organized at Lincoln Elementary. Marcus, Kelly, Principal Martinez, and neighborhood residents attended. Marcus opened the meeting. We're here because last Tuesday's incident represents both a problem and an opportunity. Kelly stood up. Mr. Washington, I want to publicly apologize. My actions were wrong. Officer Kelly, apology accepted. But apology isn't enough. What matters is change. Marcus turned to the community. This experience taught me that reform isn't just about policy papers. It's about real people, real situations, real consequences. Janet Mitchell raised her hand. Mr. Washington, I owe you an apology too. I made assumptions based on race. Mrs. Mitchell, your honesty is appreciated. Now, how do we ensure this doesn't happen to other fathers? 6 months later, Lincoln Elementary looked very different. Diverse staff, implicit bias training, community policing program. Officer Kelly, after retraining, had become a community liaison. Marcus still picked up Emma every Tuesday and Thursday, but now he was having genuine conversations with other parents. He had spoken as a guest speaker in Emma's class, creating teachable moments about justice and fairness for children. The most important change was in Chicago PD policy. New guidelines called the Washington Protocol established clear criteria for suspicious person stops. Racial profiling incidents decreased by 60%. Officer Kelly approached Marcus. Mr. Washington, that day changed my perspective completely. Officer Kelly, sometimes we need personal experience to understand systemic problems. Thank you for not ending my career. Kelly, I didn't want to end your career. I wanted to change the system that created that behavior. Emma came running. Daddy, Mrs. Peterson says, you're speaking at our assembly next week. Yes, sweetheart, about fairness and justice. Will you tell them about the day the police came? Marcus hugged Emma. I'll tell them how one difficult day led to positive changes for everyone. Marcus Washington's story showed that power doesn't just come from titles. Real power comes from creating systemic change and taking personal risks for justice. Sometimes, even the most powerful people experience discrimination. But what makes the difference is how they use that experience. Marcus used his experience to create justice for millions. If you think Marcus's story empowers all fathers, hit the like button. Or, if you believe systemic change starts with personal courage, leave a comment. If this story moved you, don't forget to subscribe, because in the next video, we'll tell a story of justice transformation that no one expects.